11-year-old Lily Thompson looked like any normal kid on Flight 628. Nobody knew the quiet girl in Seat 7A was the daughter of America's greatest fighter pilot. But when her famous call sign reached the F-22 pilots flying nearby, two elite jets broke their mission to honor the legendary Ghost Thompson's little girl. Lily sat quietly in Seat 7A, her purple headphones hanging around her neck and a math workbook open on her tray table. The United Airlines flight from Phoenix to Atlanta carried 247 passengers, but nobody paid special attention to the small girl traveling alone. Her unaccompanied minor badge swayed gently as the Boeing 787 cruised at 39,000 feet through the afternoon sky. Flight attendant Jessica walked down the aisle with her usual warm smile, stopping at Lily's row. "Hi there, sweetie. How are you doing? Do you need anything? Maybe some apple juice or crackers?" Lily looked up with bright green eyes and smiled politely. "I'm fine, thank you very much." She closed her math book, hiding the advanced physics textbook underneath that she'd been secretly reading. No adult would believe an 11-year-old could understand jet engine mechanics and flight dynamics. Jessica patted her shoulder. "That's wonderful, honey. We'll be landing in Atlanta in about 3 hours. Are you excited to see your family?" "Yes, ma'am," Lily replied, though the truth was more complicated. She was going to live with her grandmother. Ever since military officers had come to their house 4 months ago to tell her mother that her father wouldn't be coming home from his last mission overseas, everything had changed. A businessman sitting across the aisle noticed and smiled kindly. "What grade are you in, young lady? You seem very smart for your age." "6th grade, Lily answered, putting down her pencil to be respectful. She couldn't tell him she spent most of her free time studying her father's old flight manuals and military books, things her mother thought she was too young to understand. "Wow, 6th grade already. What's your favorite subject?" he asked, reaching into his briefcase. She thought carefully before answering. She couldn't say she loved studying how fighter jets worked or that she knew more about military tactics than most high schoolers. "I like science and math a lot," she said instead. He pulled out a small bag of cookies. "Here, take these. Flying can make you hungry." "Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you," she said, accepting them even though her stomach felt too nervous to eat. She'd been listening to the pilot's radio chatter before takeoff, and something about increased military activity in their flight path worried her. Behind her, a young mother with twin babies struggled to keep them quiet. When one baby started crying, she smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry about the noise, sweetie. Babies don't like flying very much sometimes." "It's okay," Lily said softly. "Would you like me to help? I'm good with kids." She didn't mention she'd helped care for younger children on military bases while her father was deployed and her mother worked extra shifts. For the next 20 minutes, Lily entertained the fussy baby with silly faces and peekaboo, making him giggle. "You're wonderful with him," the mother said. "Do you have little brothers or sisters at home?" "No, ma'am, just me," Lily replied, not explaining that military families simply learn to help each other. An elderly woman leaned forward. "What a nice young lady you are, dear. Are you traveling to see family in Atlanta?" "Yes, ma'am. I'm going to stay with my grandmother." She didn't mention her grandmother was a retired Air Force colonel who had flown transport planes during the Gulf War, or that this move was happening because her mother needed time to handle the military paperwork after her father's death. As the flight continued, passengers treated Lily like any other kid traveling alone. Flight attendants checked on her regularly. A teenager shared a phone charger. A grandfather traded his window seat so she could see the clouds better. None of them knew that Lily carried one of the most famous names in modern military aviation. Her father, Lieutenant Colonel James "Ghost" Thompson, had been the youngest pilot ever to fly the F-22 Raptor in combat. He'd shot down more enemy aircraft than any pilot in 20 years and saved countless lives with his flying skill. Her grandfather, General William "Ace" Thompson, was a living legend who'd flown nearly every fighter jet in the Air Force's inventory and trained most of its top pilots. The Thompson call sign, "Ghost," had been earned across 3 generations of pilots who seemed to appear from nowhere to save the day, then vanish just as quickly. While other kids played video games, Lily had grown up around real fighter jets and million-dollar flight simulators. But today, she was just another kid in Seat 7A. 3 hours into the flight, Captain Martinez's voice came over the speakers, calm as always. Ladies and gentlemen, we're flying smoothly with clear weather ahead. Flight attendants, please begin preparing for lunch service. Lily glanced out her window, automatically calculating their position and speed the way her father had taught her. She noticed they were flying slightly off the normal commercial route between Phoenix and Atlanta. Then the captain's voice returned, different now. Flight attendants, please return to your seats immediately and secure the cabin. We've received new instructions from air traffic control that require our immediate attention. All passengers, please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. Lily's heart raced. She recognized that controlled urgency from the military briefings she'd attended with her father. This wasn't bad weather or a mechanical issue. Through her window, she spotted 2 dark shapes in the distance. F-22 Raptors, 2 of America's most advanced stealth fighters, flying in formation alongside their airliner. The elderly woman beside her squinted. What are you looking at, sweetheart? I don't see anything but clouds. Just clouds, ma'am, Lily replied, not wanting to alarm anyone. But those weren't clouds. They were 2 of the deadliest aircraft ever built, flown by elite pilots who only scrambled for serious national security threats. In the cockpit, Captain Martinez was in urgent communication with air traffic control while First Officer Sarah Chen monitored multiple frequencies. Atlanta Center, Flight 628 confirms receipt of security alert. We understand the threat level and are complying with all military escort instructions. Flight 628, Atlanta Center. Threat has been confirmed as credible and specific to your aircraft. 2 F-22s from Dobbins Air Reserve Base are now providing direct escort. Maintain current heading and altitude until further notice. Intelligence agencies had intercepted communications indicating the flight was being targeted by foreign agents seeking to capture or harm a specific passenger. The F-22s weren't there for show, they were ready to engage any hostile aircraft that threatened the plane. Small course corrections caused gentle turbulence, and passengers began whispering nervously, sensing something unusual. Then came the announcement that changed everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Martinez. Due to federal security protocols, we're required to conduct passenger identity verification. This is purely precautionary, but regulations require us to confirm the identity of all passengers during certain security situations. Lily's stomach dropped. The military escort wasn't general protection. They were looking for someone specific, and she had a terrible feeling she knew who. Jessica approached with a nervous smile. Sweetie, I need to check your travel documents again. Just routine. Her hands shook slightly as she opened Lily's folder, finding not just her regular ID but her military dependent card identifying her as the daughter of Lieutenant Colonel James Thompson, call sign Ghost. Jessica's expression changed completely. Oh my goodness, she whispered. I need to inform the captain immediately. A few minutes later, due to a technical glitch, Captain Martinez's radio transmission to air traffic control was accidentally broadcast through the entire cabin. Atlanta Center, Flight 628. We have confirmed passenger Thompson, Lily, age 11, military-dependent daughter of Lieutenant Colonel James, Ghost, Thompson, killed in action. Request guidance on special protocols. In the lead F-22, Major Robert, Falcon, Davis nearly lost his composure. Viper, did you copy that? Did they just say Ghost Thompson's daughter is on board? Roger that, Falcon, replied Captain Michelle, Viper, Rodriguez from the second jet. Ghost's little girl is on that plane. I can't believe it. Both pilots had known James Thompson personally. He'd been their flight instructor and mentor, one of the greatest F-22 pilots who ever lived, and had saved their lives multiple times in combat. His death had devastated the military aviation community. Atlanta Center, this is Raptor 1, Major Davis transmitted, emotion clear in his voice. Can you confirm Ghost Jr. is actually aboard Flight 628? Raptor 1, that's affirmative. Passenger is Lily Thompson, age 11, traveling as an unaccompanied minor to Atlanta. Silence followed as both pilots absorbed the news. Then Davis came back, filled with respect. Atlanta Center, Raptor 1 requesting permission to break standard protocol. We need to speak directly with Ghost Jr. on this frequency. It was unprecedented, but the Thompson name carried weight that transcended normal procedure. Raptor 1, permission granted. Flight 628, please patch passenger Thompson to military frequency immediately. Captain Martinez made an announcement that stunned every passenger. Ladies and gentlemen, this is highly unusual, but we have a very special passenger traveling with us today. The military pilots escorting our aircraft have requested to speak with Miss Thompson directly. Lily, could you please come to the cockpit? Every head turned toward the quiet 11-year-old in seat 7A. Passengers whispered, trying to understand how a child could warrant direct military communication. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt and walked forward on unsteady legs, her training helping her stay composed. Captain Martinez handed her a headset. The pilots out there knew your father, Lily. They want to talk to you. Ghost Jr., this is Raptor 1, came Major Davis's voice. Your father was the greatest pilot I ever had the privilege to know. He saved my life more times than I can count. It's an honor to be protecting you today, kid. Thank you, sir, Lily replied, steady despite her tears. My father told me stories about his wingmen. He said you were the best pilots in the world. Ghost Jr., this is Raptor 2, Captain Rodriguez added. Your dad taught me everything I know about flying the F-22. He was a true hero. We're honored to escort his daughter home. As word spread through military channels, something extraordinary happened. Air traffic controllers and ground crew who'd worked with Lieutenant Colonel Thompson began sharing memories over the radio. Atlanta Tower's chief supervisor, who'd guided him through advanced training flights, spoke up. Ghost Jr., this is Atlanta Tower. Your father and I go back many years. He brought you to air shows when you were tiny. You sat in an F-22 cockpit when you were about 5. He was so proud of you. Lily smiled through her tears. I remember, sir. That's when I decided I wanted to be a pilot just like my father. The tribute continued as military personnel across the Southeast shared their memories of Lieutenant Colonel Thompson. Back in the cabin, passengers listened in amazement, realizing the quiet girl they'd treated like any other child was the daughter of a military legend. As the flight began its descent into Atlanta, Major Davis's voice came through the cabin speakers for everyone to hear. Ghost Jr., we want you to know your father's legacy lives on in every pilot he trained. We fly better and safer because of him. We'll always be here to protect his family. The elderly woman took Lily's hand. I'm so sorry about your father, dear child. He must have been an incredible man. He was the best, Lily said quietly. He always told me that being a good pilot wasn't about flying fast or having the best equipment. It was about protecting innocent people and serving something bigger than yourself. When the plane touched down, fire trucks lined the runway in salute, ground crews stood at attention, and military aircraft from Dobbins Air Reserve Base were arranged on the tarmac spelling, Ghost, in her father's honor. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Martinez announced, as we taxi to our gate, you'll notice our special welcoming committee. This is all in honor of our very special passenger, Miss Lily Thompson, whose father gave his life serving our country as one of the greatest pilots in Air Force history. The cabin erupted in applause. At the gate, her grandmother Margaret waited with uniformed officers, including the base commander and Pentagon representatives. Welcome home, Ghost Jr., said Colonel Patricia Williams, saluting the 11-year-old. Your father was one of our finest, and you'll always be part of our Air Force family. Walking through the terminal, airport employees and military personnel stopped to salute as she passed. Major Davis and Captain Rodriguez, having rushed from their jets after landing, met her in person. Davis knelt down and removed his helmet. Ghost Jr., I want you to have this, a squadron mission patch, the same one her father wore on his final mission. Your dad would be so proud of the brave young woman you're becoming, Rodriguez added. When you're old enough for the Air Force Academy, you'll have more recommendation letters than any candidate in its history. That evening at her grandmother's house, Margaret pulled out a leather photo album Lily had never seen. Your father would have been bursting with pride today, she said, showing black and white photos of Lily's great-grandfather beside a P-51 Mustang in World War II. It's time you learned the complete truth about the Thompson family legacy. The album revealed 3 generations of service. Her great-grandfather had 18 aerial victories in Europe. Her grandfather had flown over 200 combat missions in Vietnam before becoming a test pilot on classified programs. Margaret then produced a sealed envelope. Your father left this letter with instructions to give it to you when you were ready. Lily opened it with trembling hands. My dearest Lily, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home, but more importantly, it means you're ready to carry on our family's tradition. The call sign, Ghost, isn't just a nickname, it's a promise to protect those who can't protect themselves, to stand between evil and innocence, and to never let fear stop you from doing what's right. I've watched you study flight manuals while other kids play games. You have the mind of an engineer, the heart of a warrior, and the soul of a protector. When you're old enough, the choice is yours. Whatever path you choose, you'll always be my daughter, and you'll always make me proud. Fly high, little ghost. All my love, forever, Dad. Tears streamed down her face as she finished. 5 years later, 16-year-old Lily stood at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, invited to speak at the opening of an exhibit on her family's 3 generations of aviation service. 5 years ago, I was just a kid in seat 7A, she began, addressing a crowd of aviation enthusiasts, military personnel, and young dreamers. Nobody knew who I was or what my family had sacrificed. But that day taught me that being a Thompson isn't about recognition or famous call signs, it's about being ready to serve when your country and your fellow citizens need you most. True honor doesn't come from medals or records, but from the people you protect and the lives you save. Afterward, a 10-year-old girl asked, "Are you really going to be both a pilot and an engineer? Can girls really do both?" "Girls can accomplish anything they set their minds to," Lily told her. The sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning. Driving home that evening, Lily squeezed her grandmother's hand. "I used to worry about the pressure of carrying our family name and living up to Dad's reputation. But now I realize I'm not just carrying the legacy forward, I'm making it my own." Margaret smiled and pulled out a small package that had arrived the day before, a custom flight suit reading, "Ghost Jr." across the chest, with a note from Davis and Rodriguez, "For when you're ready to join us in the sky. Every F-22 squadron is waiting to welcome you home." The next morning, letters arrived from the Air Force Academy, MIT, Caltech, and other top universities, all offering scholarships after word of the ceremony spread. The Air Force Academy's offer included a program letting her study aerospace engineering and flight training simultaneously. The Secretary of the Air Force personally invited her to spend the summer at Edwards Air Force Base working with test pilots and engineers on next-generation aircraft, contributing ideas on safer cockpits and pilot protection systems. Over the following weeks, Lily's story spread nationally. She spoke at high schools, sharing her message about pursuing dreams while honoring family tradition, and young people began reaching out through social media. One message stood out, from a 12-year-old named Marcus, whose father, currently deployed as an F-22 pilot, had once flown with her father. "He told me Colonel Thompson was the best pilot he ever knew. I want to be a pilot too, but I'm scared something might happen to my dad, like what happened to yours. How do you handle being scared?" Lily wrote back, "Being scared means you understand how precious life is. That's not weakness, that's love. The best pilots are scared enough to be careful, but brave enough to do what's right when people need them. Heroes aren't people who aren't afraid, they're people who do the right thing even when they are." That exchange led Lily to help build a support network for children of military aviators, creating online communities where kids could share their fears and dreams with others who understood. 6 months later, Lily stood in the same hangar at Edwards Air Force Base where her father had once trained, wearing the flight suit Davis and Rodriguez had given her, preparing for her first flight in an F-22 as part of her internship. Her pilot was Colonel Sandra Phoenix Martinez, one of the few women to command an F-22 squadron and a close friend of her father's from their academy days. "You ready for this, Ghost Jr.?" "I've been ready my whole life," Lily said, heart pounding. As they approached the jet, she noticed new lettering below the cockpit, "Ghost Legacy," along with a small memorial to her father and grandfather. "We had that added yesterday," Martinez explained. "This F-22 is now the designated Thompson family aircraft." Climbing in, Lily felt the weight of 3 generations settle on her shoulders, but instead of feeling overwhelmed, she felt empowered. "Ghost Jr., this takeoff is dedicated to your father's memory and your family's service," Martinez said over the intercom. "Welcome to the world of supersonic flight." The jet launched into the California sky, climbing until the curvature of the Earth became visible. "How does it feel?" Martinez asked at 50,000 feet. "Like coming home," Lily said. "Like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be." Martinez demonstrated maneuvers and explained the F-22s systems throughout the hour-long flight, impressed by the technical questions Lily asked. "Your father would be amazed by how much you understand," she said on their descent. "But I think he'd be even more proud of the young woman you've become." Afterward, Lily worked with engineers on designing improved safety systems for military aircraft, her perspective as both a fallen pilot's daughter and a future engineer bringing fresh insight to old problems. That evening, video calling her grandmother still in her flight suit, hair tousled and eyes bright, she said, "It was incredible, Grandma. But you know what the best part was? When we were flying, I felt like Dad was right there with me, not sad, just present. Like he was showing me this is my path now." Margaret wiped away tears. "Your father always said flying wasn't just about leaving the ground, it was about lifting others up with you. That's exactly what you're doing." On the final day of the summer program, Air Force leadership, test pilots, engineers, and aerospace representatives gathered for a special ceremony. The Secretary of the Air Force presented Lily with a recognition for her contributions to pilot safety research. "Your father served our nation with distinction in the sky," he said. "You are serving it with equal distinction on the ground. The Thompson legacy of service continues, just in a new and equally important way." Standing before the crowd in her Ghost Junior flight suit, holding her award, Lily realized her journey was only beginning. The scared 11-year-old from Seat 7A had grown into a confident young woman ready to change the world. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, with a photo of him at a local air show in a junior pilot suit beside an F-22 display. "Miss Thompson, my dad came home safely from his deployment last week. I start flight lessons next month. Thank you for showing me that being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing good things even when you are." Lily smiled, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, future generations of Thompson pilots would fly, carrying on a tradition that began with her great-grandfather's P-51 Mustang in World War II. But now she understood. The family legacy was never really about flying fast or winning battles. It was about using whatever gifts you had to serve others and make the world a little better. She was still just Lily Thompson, but now she knew that sometimes, being just yourself was exactly enough to change the world.